What's up guys, my name is Phil. Welcome back to Miranda Detailing. In today's video, we are detailing this BMW X6. So it's in for a full paint enhancement and we're not doing a ceramic coating. We're gonna do some sort of an SiO2 sealant on it. But let's take a look at the paint, see what we're dealing with. Guys, if you're enjoying videos like this, and I hope you are, consider subscribing and clicking that bell. That way you get notifications each time these videos drop each week and you don't miss stuff. So here's the vehicle. It is black, and I can't remember if it's a metallic black or not. I think it is. We will see once we start polishing it and once it's all cleaned. It's really not in bad shape. It has very, very light swirls, and this is kind of considered like our new car prep. We are going to be doing a paint enhancement. In some areas, go a little bit farther just to remove any other deeper defects. And we're not doing anything on the interior, exterior only. The wheels are in really good shape. They'll be cleaned up. It does have some water spotting here on the back hatch. Don't know if that is just fresh, if that will come off. It probably will just come right off. Just some smudge and dirt and stuff around the paint. And we have something weird right here, which we'll show you once we pull it into the garage. It's kind of hard to see. It looks like panels were repainted. So we'll take some paint measurements before we go any further. So we're going to begin the washing and prepping. So we're degreasing all the tires and wheels. We're just using a degreaser that is in that foamer, the Miralex foamer. And we're going to basically do all of the rinsing, pre-rinsing, the wash phase, and if it needs to be clay barred, we'll do that as well. We'll see how gritty the paint is. So let's get started. So down here we have a little bit of tar. Really hard to tell on a black vehicle, but we could feel it. There's a little piece right there. But in the reflection, you can kind of see a little dot right there. So we're going to use CarPro Tarex and just hit the bottom panels and dissolve those tar bits. You could feel them in the wash process. So just take a nice clean towel and you can spray the towel down, agitate it. Oh, there's some more up there. And you'll feel them go away. You'll feel them dissolve. There we go. And then all you need to do is just do a rinse. So just rinse it down. You don't need to use any other APCs. There. So if you do find any tar, Tarex is great for removing that. Spray on, let it dwell, and then it will dissolve it. Did you find or feel any back here?
I don't know. I didn't go down there. You did.
Not really. It feels good. Definitely got some tar bits down here. You can feel them. They're really rough. Yeah, you can clay bar them too. But this vehicle really does not have a lot of particles down here. It's just tar. All right, the X6 is pulled in, and we just dried it. We just wiped it down with an IPA just because of some of the dressings up here when we did the cowl and under the hood. So I like to wipe those away so they don't interfere with polishing. But let's look at the paint. It is a metallic. It's a really nice, like, charcoal metallic. And yes, it does have some light swirls in it. So the paint enhancement will reduce those maybe 50 to 75%. It all depends on how the paint responds. Let's grab our light and see what other little light defects we can find. So we have the pillar here. Those are always a mess. And this is kind of a, yeah, it's not flush and it doesn't protrude. It kind of goes in a little bit. It's kind of flush with the glass here, but that is a big mess. So we'll make sure to polish those. And yeah, your typical swirls down here also. Paint enhancement will really clean that up. Not completely eliminate it. There might be some little stray swirls and little light scratches here and there, but it will really enhance the paint, make it look awesome. Let's see if those water spots were removed back here. Yeah, they were, but you can see that texture? This area, I actually had to use the clay mitt a little aggressively because it was bad. This whole back area was horrible. And yeah, we detarred it, but it needed to be clay barred. As you saw, that clay bar just got gummed up with all sorts of nasty stuff. Road junk. Just using the Tar-X alone wasn't enough. It was for the sides. I was able to remove all the tar on the lower portions, but for here, I had to use the clay bar and the clay mitt. So you can see that texture there. That is the clay mitt marring the paint. So yeah, that will happen. Even when we're doing our full details on some vehicles, it will happen. But this is easily removed with a light machine action polishing. So even when we machine apply waxes and sealants, it will remove that. Not just hide it, it will remove it. We know because we've tried it and we know that it works. Oh, this area here I believe was repainted. So there is some weirdness going on here at the edge. See that edge? Yeah, there's something weird going on there, like a weird tape line and the edge of clear coat right there. So we're gonna have to tread carefully. We'll take some measurements and see what's going on here. But this right here, you gotta be really careful with. That's the only spot that I noticed on the paint that was repainted. Rest of it is pretty typical. Yeah, there's some more buffer trails and polishing, and someone else was here on this side doing something. Oh yeah. You can see that movement. Look at all that movement there and the swirls. That's from somebody hitting it with a polisher, a buffer, a rotary polisher, whatever, and just not doing things correctly, not refining. There's a little spot here. Yep, that is some sort of an etching into the paint. And there are some little chips here and there. Yeah, you can see some of the marring from the clay mitt. There was a lot of overspray on the whole hood. Lots of overspray. So we had to remove all of that, and now it's feeling nice and smooth. So let's see what we can use for polishing. I might try a few things, and we'll see how we can really get this paint to gloss up and remove those defects. So guys, we're testing a couple of different products on here, and we're just seeing which one works the best. Which one was that? Oh, that was Meguiar's 205.
Yeah.
Okay. Trusty old Meguiar's 205. I still use it. I still love it. But we are testing a few other things. We tried the Uno Protect. So this stuff is like an all-in-one. It doesn't have the cutting power that I would want for an all-in-one. It does work. It does work okay. But for deeper defects, if you want to really do more like a paint enhancement plus, where you're going a little extra, a little further, you need something a little bit stronger. But don't get me wrong, this does work. It's good for mobile detailers too. It does work out in the sun. I've used it. So it's just a lighter cutting all-in-one. Then if you want to step it up to something else like 3D Speed or the new Max Shine all-in-one polish, this stuff acts just like 3D Speed, if not, dare I say, better. It's on par, I have to say. I've tried both basically side by side and they work the same to me. Really awesome cutting power, and it wipes off like a breeze, and you can use it outdoors, full sunlight, heat, all of that stuff. It works really well. So this is also doing a great job. And then we are also using the Extreme Solutions Extreme Cutting Cream and Polish. So again, this is an all-in-one. This really reminds me of Meguiar's D300 with wax in it. It does have some polymers and waxes in it. So this also is an all-in-one. This also cuts and finishes extremely well. Just like 3D Speed, just like the Max Shine all-in-one, this stuff works really, really well. And nice, easy wipe off too. And it is pad dependent like many of the other all-in-ones. Even with Uno, when we used a Eurofiber cutting pad like this, it added a little bit of extra cut, but not as much as I wanted, again. But this stuff does. When you use this or the Max Shine or 3D Speed with a cutting pad, it increases the cutting power, and it still finishes great, and it still wipes off easy. So these three products work very, very well. But we are going to be using, for protection, Ethos Defy. So this is kind of an all-in-one product itself. It will clean, condition, and coat. It says it does fill micro scratches and little imperfections and seals the surface. So this is like a paint sealant, basically. So we're going to use this for the protection at the end. We're going to use the Ethos Detox, which is their IPA wipe down. So I don't want to use a product that has protection in it. True, I was just testing some out here on the hood just to see what would cut it and what may not cut it exactly. But I think what we're going to do is continue with 205, right? It's working really well.
Yeah.
We'll continue with 205 just because it's a polish. There's no protection in it at all. But the other all-in-ones that I showed you are amazing. If you are doing just an all-in-one and then maybe you can top it with this or top it with a spray wax or spray sealant, that's a great option. But let's continue with M205 and check out the results. All right, guys, we're making our way around the vehicle and it is looking really good. There are some deeper scratches that I'm not going to attack fully. Again, paint enhancement, not paint correction, so some small defects are going to remain. That's just what a paint enhancement is. So if the customer wanted to go full paint correction, we would get 90% plus out of the paint. But besides that, it's okay. It's turning out really good. We do what the customer wants. We don't try to persuade them to go any more. If it's a daily driver or a vehicle that they drive on a regular basis, why try to convince them to spend more money to get a full paint correction when you know it's going to get swirled again anyway? I'm not about that. The paint enhancement is the perfect combination of improving and reducing the defects while still allowing the customer to be on a budget. So what I'm going to show you is how we're using the Meguiar's M205 and the Lake Country Orange pad to do what is called a half step. Now this is something I learned from Larry Cosella at Ammo NYC years ago when I started to learn how to polish paint. And it's nothing new, but I think some people get confused as to product and pad combinations. Really, you don't have to be so strict about product and pad combinations. You're going to find as you increase in your experience with polishing that you can switch things up and do what's called half steps, using a polish with a compound pad or using a compound with a polishing pad. You get that in between. Sometimes it cuts better, sometimes it finishes better, and it all depends on the paint. This paint, we are finding that it is on the harder side. So it's not a soft clear coat, it is more of a harder clear coat, which means it's going to be harder to compound and polish. But this in-between action that we're using with this product and pad seems to be working really, really well. Sure, we could go further and do more of a compounding step, but again, you want to find that balance in between paint enhancement, paint correction, and not overwork yourself. Don't go too crazy if the customer is not going to pay for it. If you do this on the side, you do what you want. You can go as far as you want because it's a side gig for you. But as a business, we have to understand that there's a limit, there's a balance. So we balance that quality of service with what we're getting paid. So let's show you what we mean by the half step. So here we have the Orange Lake Country pad. This is a great in-between pad. You see me using this a lot in our videos for paint enhancements and even polishing. And then M205. This is all I use, 2 drops. Now the pad is already kind of primed from me using it. I do not prime pads in the traditional way that most detailers do. You know, kind of saturating the entire pad. I know some guys like to do that. They say it's more efficient. Personally, I haven't really found that to be the case. I think it's a waste of product. I get the same results because I've tried it both ways. And I know from experience that priming the pad that way and then using it doesn't make a difference to me. So I just do it this way and it works great. So with a polish and then a medium cutting pad, you're going to get a nice in between. So let me show you a before of what the paint looks like. So here's what the paint looks like. Yeah, it's pretty swirled. And there's some weird defects there from a polisher, I think, somebody attacking it with a rotary polisher. You can kind of see the movement there because I think there were some areas that were repainted. But look how swirled that is. So let's see if we can fix that with this combination. So, what do you think? That was a few section passes. That is how I'm working all of the paint. It doesn't take that long. Wow. That's pretty impressive. This may have been repainted because it's responding a lot better than some of the other areas, but that may be because some of the other areas were really, really swirly, even though this was too. So it did a great job of clearing that up. Now see, you can still see little light swirls. This paint is very forgiving because of its color, but you can still see some light swirls in there, but that's fine. This is what a paint enhancement is. It got rid of all that heavy, nasty swirling. Actually, I did this whole section, so the swirling looked more like this up here. And now it looks like that. That's really nice. So guys, a half step. A half step is when you go in between cutting, pad, or polishing. What am I trying to say? So the half step works great as the paint enhancement. So if I want to step it up, I could step it up to a microfiber pad with the polish, but sometimes that leaves a little bit of micro marring from the microfiber pad. So this seems to be the perfect combo, that nice in between where you get the finish that you want, but the pad is actually removing the defects. So the pad itself, along with the lubricants in the liquid and some of the abrasives, are removing the defects, but you're using a cutting pad. So remember, it's not just the liquid that's cutting, it's your pad, obviously, that cuts as well. You're using the product as the lubrication with some added abrasives. It all works together. So it's not just one thing that is cutting and finishing the paint, it's your pad along with the product that is working. So it's working great, and that's what we're using on this entire vehicle. So it's looking awesome. I'm going to continue polishing. Well guys, this thing is really coming along. You just saw us polishing the pillars here. Now, I did tape off the bottoms because of this lip here. So with the polisher, to get close enough to it, it's going to hit up against this a little bit. So I just put 2 layers of tape to protect it. Now when it came to the tape on here, I ripped it off because it was annoying me and it was getting caught up in the polisher. And since it's flush anyway, there's just a little gap there, it's not a big deal. So I wasn't really running into any issues with it if I took off the tape. But, oh, now that is a nice finish, right? I had to use 3D1 and the Euro fiber cutting pad, and that made a huge difference. And then I used the orange Lake Country pad with M205. I did use the little polisher on it too, but it didn't really do much. It's not good for large areas like this. It's good for little tiny areas. It works much better. But that's awesome, right? All right, I can live with that. That's perfect. We are almost done. I have that side of the roof. I have some of the back bumper and portions back here. And my wife already did the rest of this side, and she was just working into this side here. So she just polished into the spoiler here. So she was working along this way, and you can see, oh yeah, it gets all swirly and messy over here. Much nicer over here. And we're going to remove the license plate and clean all behind there and polish all of this area as well. How bad is it? It's really not too bad. But I did clay back here heavily, so yeah, you can see all the swipe marks back here. So we'll address all of that. But so far, the results. Look at how nice. Oh, that's really nice. So it is really clearing up well. There's a few defects, some deeper things that I really can't go after too much. There's some straight line scratches there. Those are really bad. Someone laid something across here. They're pretty heavy, but other than that, the paint is coming out really beautiful. So really nice results. Yes, there are going to be some minor swirls in here, but overall, the heavy stuff is all lifted off of the paint. Yep, that looks really nice. These curvy areas, they worked out really nice. They look awesome. Yep, very nice. Okay, so that's what we're shooting for. So let's continue polishing, get that done, the back done, and then we'll get to protecting it. We have come now to the wipe down and protection stage. So we're going to use Ethos Detox. And you know what? I was going to use this, but let me use this instead. So I'm going to use the Detox and the Pro Ceramic Wax together. And we will be maintaining this vehicle hopefully in the next 3 to 4 months. So we'll be able to see the Ceramic Wax Pro on this vehicle in real world conditions. So we'll use the Defy as perhaps the maintenance, or we also will use the ceramic shampoo and the detail spray as maintenance. But this can be also used as a sealant, but I'm gonna opt for the Ceramic Pro Wax instead. So let's get to detoxing it. So use this as the panel wipe. So this is the ceramic preparation cleaner, and then we'll use the Ceramic Wax Pro on top. All right, guys, so I'm not a fan of these triggers. I just don't like them, but that's okay. I know it's just what a lot of companies use now. I'm just not a fan. But it's a very, oh, that's nice stuff. Just give it a very light wipe down. All surfaces, glass, plastics, everything. Very light touch. Do not heavily wipe the paint, especially if you've just done a full paint correction on delicate paints. Be very careful with it. This paint is really hard though. So we were finding when we were polishing it. It's hard stuff. Not worried here about marring the paint because I just really don't see it marring at all. It just looks great. But still, it's just good practice to be gentle with the paint and not over wipe it with a panel wipe like this. Now, can you use any other panel wipe? Yeah, you could. Whichever one that you like, whichever one you want to choose. I'm just using this one because it's just their dedicated wipe for the prep. Can you spray it on the panel? Yeah, you can. You can spray it on there. I find it's a little bit of a waste of product, just my opinion, but you can choose whichever method you like. If you want to spray it on the panel and douse it, that's up to you. I don't think you really need to do that. This stuff flashes away very quick, which I like. That is nice. You just wipe right over it and it flashes, done. Flip the towel and it's nice and smooth and slick. So I'm going to spray it onto the paint just to see if it makes a difference. I think it just uses more product. Does it work better? I don't know. That's negligible. Some may say, no, you need to douse the paint to get all the oils off. And then I've heard others say that that's not needed at all. Certain panel wipes will simply wipe the oils right off the paint very quickly, very efficiently, very easily, without having to douse the paint in an IPA, which there's arguments about IPA softening clear coat and all that stuff. Keep things simple. Don't overthink it and don't flood your brain with all this info where it then confuses you. Because all you'll do is basically choose your favorite person to believe, and anything they say is law. Even with stuff that I'm talking about, these are things that work for me. If they don't work for you, fine, continue doing what you're doing. You don't have to do exactly the same thing that I'm doing. I don't consider what I'm doing here as law. So don't get that confused. Just because I'm doing it this way, it's just because of experience. It's what works for me. If it doesn't work for you, fine. Just remember that everybody will have their own way of doing things. The results are really going to show. And results can also be very subjective and tons of variables work into it. So someone can douse the paint with IPA, put on a coating, and it fails. Did they do it correctly? Did they do it incorrectly? While others will polish it, do a light wipe down, put a coating on, and it lasts 2 years. What are the variables? Weather, the paint itself, maybe the coating from factory failed, or who knows? There are tons of different variables that go into it. Just doing something once, having it fail, is not enough of a test. It needs to go on and on and on. You need to keep testing. You need to see what happened, try to adjust it, try to fix it, and then make your decisions based off of that. Not just a one-time thing. It needs to be built up over years. So beginners, those who are getting into detailing, take all that knowledge in and then from your own experience, work out what works, what doesn't. Don't just follow what I'm doing just because you like the process or you think that I'm correct. I'm doing things my certain way. So try it that way. If it works, great. If it doesn't, shift into something else or tweak it or ask me some questions and maybe we can work out what's going wrong with the process. So everything is wiped down and now let's get on to the ceramic wax. So check this out, guys. This is all I used. Not bad, right? So even though I don't like the trigger head, it does atomize really, really well. So it's like 1 or 2 mists on the towel and that's all you need for the entire vehicle. Not bad, right? All right, let's bring you along here. I usually don't do this. Whoa. Okay. And no, I didn't just hit the car. And no, I didn't hit the car. I actually hit my little tray over here. I made sure to bend the tripod legs away from the vehicle. So, all right, first step, well, third step, fourth step, I don't know what step this is. Second to last step is done. Now let's get on to the Ceramic Wax Pro. So the Ethos Pro Ceramic Wax is designed as a ceramic-based sealant / wax. I wouldn't suggest it for mobile detailers. So I am kind of half mobile, half shop-based because of the garage here at my home. And it does say that this stuff isn't really good for outdoor use, out of direct sunlight, on a cool panel. So it probably wouldn't do well, and it would probably fail if I applied it. It wouldn't last that long if I applied it in direct sunlight and on a hot panel. So this stuff here is more of a product that guys need to use in a garage, or at least in shade in a cooler area. The humidity or the heat might affect it as well. But this stuff needs a lot of prep work. Just like coatings need a lot of prep work, you need to make sure that the paint is clean, it's smooth, it's polished, it's detoxed. I like the way that Ethos words it, detoxed with an IPA or panel wipe down. And then this stuff is applied. So I actually talked with them to make sure, because some people weren't finding the durability on this to be very good. But again, it's not really made for mobile detailers. It's made for this type of an environment. So I would, it says pro. I'd consider it on the pro level because of all the prep work involved. It takes a lot of time, and it takes some experience in polishing and all of that to know what you're doing. So I'm going to apply this by hand first, see how it applies. Then I might apply it by machine just to make things go a little bit quicker. So I have a fresh little microfiber applicator. I love these little block. Oh, that's not good. I thought I shut that off. That's annoying. So I love these little microfiber block applicators. These are great. They're great for ceramic coatings as well, and for wax application. So let's shake the product up, and let's get to using it. So as usual, I'm going to start in this area. Whoops. I didn't remove. Oh yeah. Oopsie. Ooh. Oh, it has a really nice scent to it, actually. Or at least I like it. About that much. And I'm just going to put it onto the paint first, and then I'll work in straight line motions like this. And crosshatch. You can do whichever you want. You can go in circles. It's not going to swirl the paint, so don't worry about that. Swirling the paint happens when you're using nasty wash media and dry media. And just years of touching the paint does it too. All right, so it goes on pretty smooth, even by hand. And the more you work it into the paint, it kind of goes translucent a little bit and gets a little bit easier to work with. I'm not a fan of hand applying things like this. Coatings is one thing because you have to. I'm going to switch to the machine in a moment. I may have used a little bit too much. See, it's hard to gauge by hand how much I'm putting on, but I don't know. That's just because I'm used to the machine. If I applied things by hand more often, then I'd probably be more used to that. Some guys love hand applying sealants and waxes, but I don't know. I can just find that sometimes I overuse the product and it gets to be too thick, but that's just me. Just my user error. Oh no, user error. All right, so the hood is done. I'm going to continue around the vehicle, and it says 15 to 20 minutes or so. Let's see if I can get around the vehicle quick enough. I'm going to switch to a machine that will add a lot of speed to it. So I'm going to use my Max Shine M85 with a Buffing Hero pad. These are really nice low profile pads. I have their little finishing or wax application one here. So I'm going to set the speed all the way down to like 2 or 3 or something like that. And we'll work along with the polish that way, or the wax, sorry, the wax. And since I am using the polisher to apply the ceramic wax, I'm going to use my little cord snaps. If you want to get your hands on these, then I'll have links down below. Or if I don't have the links down below, then simply message me. Now, I don't have the one for the belts, but that's okay. I'll just throw it behind my back for now. I usually have 2. They come in a pack of 2. One goes here, one goes here. So 3 dots, So it is going on, just very, very thin. So it's a little deceiving. Sometimes it kind of melts into the paint and you don't see it, but it's there. Yep, it's there. It's just a very, very thin layer. So I put about 3 dots each time and work in roughly 2x2 sections or so. Sometimes I can stretch it out a little bit more. And some of the little areas I'll save and apply by hand. Once you get your pad saturated enough with the product, I'm going to show you a neat little trick that, again, I learned on YouTube by McGuire's guy a long time ago. Now, you're going to notice that your pad will have some wax that will be kind of saturated into it. So I haven't done this area yet, and instead of applying more, here's what I do. Just gently put the polisher against the paint and just squeeze it a little bit. See that? That's more wax that's in the pad. So I will do that just a few times along the panel, and look how much wax is on there. That is plenty. Here, let me get you a better view. There, that is plenty just by squeezing it out. That's enough, again, to do this section instead of applying more. You're using the wax that's in here. Plenty of wax there to work with. Now look how thin a layer it's leaving. That's really, really thin. It's just a light haze, see? Very thin. That's what you want. You don't want to over apply it. So what I'm finding with hand application, look how thick hand application is. Is it better? I know you could work it a little bit more, but it's just more elbow grease. So I'm finding that the machine applies it thinner, faster, more efficient, less product, thin layers, just like that, see? Nice. Let's keep on applying the ceramic wax pro wax. So let's continue applying it. We'll just work around the vehicle. I'm going to keep this in my pocket, but I may still have enough wax here. I still have enough wax in here. I'm going to keep pushing more out as I need. So I am applying a little bit more because I pushed out enough of the wax. Now the machine application is done. Still the hand application there, and look how nice and thin the machine application is. Now, when you're going with the machine application, like I showed you, pressing the pad up against the paint, just do that to push out the remainder of the sealant that's in there. Any waxes, any sealants, it'll work the same way, and you can continue using that. Don't put pressure when you're applying it. Just let the machine do the work and just apply it. But if you see in some areas that it's maybe too thin or you don't see anything, just shut the machine off, press a couple of times in that area, and then lightly go over it again. You're basically just reapplying the wax from the pad, because sometimes the edges of the pad will again kind of wipe up the wax as you're moving the machine across. That's okay. It's not a big deal. I've learned to work with that and find ways around it. Pushing out the wax out of the foam pad like that does help in getting as much of the wax out of there as possible. You can see how thin it is, and some areas look like there's nothing there, but the machine went over it, and I saw the wax go over it, and it kind of melts into the paint a little bit. So that's why some areas look patchy, some areas look thicker than others. It's just an over application. These areas, it's thin, but it's still just a little bit of an over application. Same with here. By doing it by hand, some areas are thinner, some aren't, so it's fine. As long as you're getting that thin layer on the paint, that's what matters. So now let's wipe it and see how well it removes. I'm assuming this might be difficult to remove. So I have a nice fluffy Rag Company towel. Let's start where we first applied, and let's see how, wow, huh. I was thinking it was going to be a lot harder to remove than that. That is really nice. Not bad at all. So even maybe over applying it by hand like this, it still is pretty easy to wipe off. Wow, beautiful. Again, there's still a little bit of extra residue there. That's okay. You see how it's wiping like that? Those white marks. It's just a little extra residue. That will eventually flash off and go away. Wow, that's really nice. Okay, yeah, see there's some extra there. So yeah, over application, it still wipes off easy, but it could be easier if we wipe it off thinner instead of this heavy, heavy application. But it still works. You can do whatever works for you. If you like hand applying, that's your thing. No problemo. Do what works for you in this sense. There, the more you wipe, the residue will eventually go away, and then it'll look nice and clear. So we'll let that go for now, and I'll probably come back and hit this area a little bit more to make sure I get that residue off. So we're going to let these areas dry a little bit more, and I'm going to go around and hit all the small areas with the small applicator. The paint is now done. What's left is glass inside and out, wheels and tires, and exhaust pipes. That's pretty much it. We went around the vehicle at least 3 or 4 times, making sure any residue is removed. That's looking great. So now I'm going to clean the glass. I'm actually going to use Defy for that. Inside and out. We'll see how it works. On the outside, it should be great as a water-beating protectant for all the glass. May not last as long with the windshield because of the abrasion, but that's okay. At least it will still give some beating and protection. Man, I know what this stuff smells like. Smarties. It smells like Smarties. The little candy? Yep, that's what it smells like. Oh, and I have the light on my head here too, if you're wondering why. Because glass cleaning is a pain. So the light just helps see any smudges that might be on the glass and helps to remove them. That's all. It just helps with that. This is nice because you have this edge here that you don't have to roll down the window for. That's nice. However, when it goes back up, yep, it'll leave that little line at the bottom. So now I have to get in the vehicle. That's so annoying. Here, let's see if we can focus in on it. So I don't know if you can see that, but I can. So I'm gonna get in the vehicle. Ugh. Yep. Look at that. How annoying. It's probably still gonna do it because I'm gonna get out of the vehicle, goes down, and it's just gonna go back up again. Ugh. But at least it's clean, but it still leaves that mark. It's like you can't get away from it. You have to just learn to live with it. It's really annoying. I don't like that design with this this type of glass. But Defy does work great as a glass cleaner. I can say that now. I can definitely tell you that it works great as a glass cleaner. Inside and out. A customer. Hello, this is Phil with Miranda Detailing. Yes, perfect. That would be great. What time are you thinking this evening? Oh, okay. Okay. We can work with that. We can work with that. That should be fine. Yeah, yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. Yeah. Just give us a quick little text when you're on the way. That way we can get everything set up. Correct. Yes. Okay. All right. That sounds great. No problem. All right. All right, guys, we are done with the vehicle. Now, paint is looking incredible. The wheels were sealed in with AM wheel wax. That's a high temperature wheel wax. Tires are nice and cleaned and dressed with Chemical Guys VRP. And now the paint and glass and chrome bits and everything on here are looking beautiful. So great turnover. Wasn't a huge amount of swirls in the paint to begin with, but we really did enhance the gloss, reduced a lot of the defects and light swirls. Some of the deeper scratches remain because we're not digging into the paint that deep anyway, because it is not a paint correction. But it has beautiful depth and gloss to it. It looks great. Now, my mistake in saying it was an X6, it just looks like one. It's actually a 535i. It's just a GT model with a little hatchback, which personally I'm not a fan of. I don't like the little hatchback here. The view from inside out the back window is so limited, it's pretty much useless. Yeah, my mistake. It's not an X6, it's a 535i GT. Not a big deal. This thing is now looking awesome. I do like the blacked out grille. I just think that looks pretty cool. Looks really nice. And do you know what these are? Check this out. You pull that back, and when you clean the windshield, I think when you clean the windshield, it also will release these, unless it's a separate button. I don't know. I'm not going to go play around in this customer's vehicle to find out how these work, but this pops out and cleans the headlights. So I thought it was a tow hook, but that's there. So these are on both sides for the headlights, and they clean the headlights. Pretty cool. So guys, the Ethos Pro Ceramic Wax, their Detox, their Defy, really nice products. These are definitely higher end products, not necessarily made for mobile detailers because they're not able to be used outside that well. The Defy you could, the shampoo you could, that would be fine. And the quick detailer probably you can use out there too. I'll make some other videos using those products. These are really great high-end products to use more in a shop environment like this, with controlled conditions as much as possible. That way you can get the best results out of it. So it's going to sit here for a few hours before the customer picks it up. So it does take up to 48 hours for this to completely cure. Ideally, it would be nice to have it in here for that long, but the customer needs to pick it up today. But it will go in their garage, hopefully, and cure for the next 2 days, and we'll be good to go. And hopefully we'll see this vehicle again in a couple of months. So guys, that is it for the video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments, let me know down below. If you're interested in any of the products, the tools that we use, especially the Ethos products, I'll link them down below. You can check them out for yourself. Again, I'd recommend them more for detailers that are in a shop environment. The Pro Ceramic Wax does not quite work outside, so it's not ideal for mobile detailers. It's better for shop environments. But you can pick up the Defy, you can use that outdoors. The shampoo and the detail spray also is fine, but the Pro Ceramic Wax, to get the most out of it, needs to be inside, applied in better conditions than out in the heat and humidity. And if you're enjoying videos like this, consider subscribing and clicking that bell. That way you don't miss stuff. So we'll see you guys next time. Have a safe week. Take care. Oh, hi.
Oh, hi.
What did you get me?
Nothing.
Coffees? Ooh, coffees. Oh, yum. Triple energy. All right. I got to get my coffee corner up and running here. Yeah, this is going to be my coffee corner. And hopefully I'll be getting my sink here hooked up because I have hot and cold water right here. So I'm going to pipe into it. Okay.